and I know you can't disclose specific conversations because you represent Diddy, but can you give us a sense of the fear factor here on his part? Because they did attempt to shank him already. He knows he's a target.
Everybody's getting their laughs on, but we'll get the last laugh. It's a jail call. I don't know how you ain't got that, but that's crazy.
I think he's brother love. He love other men.
Diddy's lawyer has exposed how much of a threat there is to Diddy's life in prison. And let me tell you right now, Diddy better not drop the soap because things aren't looking good for him.
Are you concerned Sean Diddy Combs could be sexually assaulted, violently assaulted? Because based on what was said in court, it feels like a thing.
If I could say one thing to him, in all honesty, don't drop the soap.
When Diddy's lawyer, Mark Garagos, appeared on the Two Angry Men podcast with Harvey Levin, he didn't sugarcoat what life would look like for Diddy in prison. From the start, he made it clear that Diddy isn't just another inmate, he's a high-value target. Garagos revealed that someone already tried to attack Diddy inside the Metropolitan Detention Center, but guards stopped it just in time.
Diddy is going to spend definitely 2+ years in a federal prison. I just want to lay this out right now. He is a target because they talked about this in court. They said somebody tried to shank him already, and that he is a big target. Are you concerned that Sean Diddy Combs could be sexually assaulted, violently assaulted? Is that a thing? Because based on what was said in court, it feels like a thing.
Yeah, it clearly is a thing. I mean, they're already, and he did not want to make a big deal of it. They already tried to shank him once at the MDC, and that was thwarted. And it happens in prison. I mean, you and I could tick off how many times we are aware of somebody getting seriously injured or killed in prison. And so they're going to have to keep him somewhere that they can keep an eye on him.
Garagos admitted he hasn't spoken to Diddy since the sentence came down, but said it's only a matter of time before reality sets in. Diddy might be trying to keep a brave face for now, but prison life will be a shock, especially for someone used to controlling every part of his world. Gene Deal has also previously talked about how much Diddy likes men, and now it seems that could work against him in prison.
You being around Puffy, isn't any truth to him being fruity?
I don't know what you mean by really, do I see this man being fruity? Does a man like other men? I think he's brother love. He love other men.
In fact, Whack 100, a music executive with insider info, even claims that Diddy may have already willingly engaged in some activities of that sort and how Diddy's jail call was linked to it.
If Puffy has a boyfriend right now in jail, what do you think?
I believe Puffy may have engaged in some activity.
Right. They say the inmates, they fight each other over the right to make his bed in the morning.
Anybody doing that is participating in the activity. If that's true, like, I don't know. I don't think Puffy would have to say that. But what do you think about that phone call?
Which one?
With him and his son.
Nah, I didn't hear it.
What, you didn't, come on.
Nah, I didn't hear it. But which phone call?
Who does your research for you? Just you?
Nah, I got an assistant.
Yeah, you need to talk to him.
Okay.
The prison called him and his son when he's talking about, is Jay-Z getting back to you? Not responding. Then he said, okay. Everybody out there quiet all of a sudden, huh? He said, yeah, he said, don't worry about it. He said, yo, such and such want to know what to do about his car note. He told him, yo, man, tell him to go host a show or something. Don't he see what I'm dealing with? He said, but everybody's getting their laughs on, but we'll get the last laugh. It's a jail call. I don't know how you ain't got that, but that's crazy.
For reference, this is the jail call he's talking about.
What up? How y'all listening? Do not entertain none of this nonsense and nothing over the phone. I'm gonna need you to get rid of all the leftover pizza boxes. The what? All the boxes left over from the pizza. All the boxes. Make sure you recycle the plastic like we talked about. Yeah. Can you reach out yet?
Nah, Bob. He ghosting.
And this mother doing it. These things sweet now because I'm in here. It's all good. You about to get out on bail. Everybody out there quiet as a mother. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. We gonna let them have their little fun, but I'm still gonna have the last laugh. About all these lawsuits though, Pop. Ain't none of them getting shit. I ain't worth nothing. Ain't got shit in my name anyway. Don't even worry about it. But some money hungry.
One detail that caught everyone off guard was that Diddy had apparently scheduled a public speech for the Monday after his sentencing, almost as if he expected to walk out of court. Even Harvey Levin was stunned by that, calling it out as completely tone-deaf. It suggested Diddy and his team might have been in denial about what was coming. Behind the scenes, things weren't smooth either. Geragos hinted that Diddy's legal team was messy. Too many lawyers, too many strategies, not enough direction. He tried to keep things focused, but it was clear this wasn't their strongest showing.
And I know you can't disclose specific conversations because you represent Diddy, but can you give us a sense of the fear factor here on his part? Because they did attempt to shank him already. He knows he's a target. Now he knows that he faces upwards of 2 years, with credit and all, but is he freaked out?
Well, I haven't talked to him since the sentence. I know in talking to him for innumerable times that, I would not say he's operating from a place of fear, although he was during the trial, as all defendants are, fearful. Nobody goes into a trial. Anybody who tells you they're not afraid when they're in trial is just lying to their teeth. But I think post-trial, he's acquitted himself well and was preparing himself for this. Obviously, I've got a lot to say about the sentence, but in terms of the fear factor, I think it's going to set in. I think over the next week, you're going to see him make some moves. And when I say make some moves, there's things you can do to try to figure out where and what you should do in terms of housing.
So the judge gave him 50 months. And
5-0. 5-0.
And where he served 13, and when you look at the 15% credit, it's going to be 2 years and change that he's going to actually have to serve. I got to ask you something about something that happened in court today, and we talked a lot about this on the live stream, and I couldn't believe my ears that Diddy booked a speech for Monday. When I heard that, I thought, when the prosecution said hubris, it's like, oh yeah, the judge is going to let me out. It's no big deal. It was shocking to me that he would do something like that. It just seemed as tone deaf as just about anything I've heard in a long, long time.
It's interesting. There's been a lot of things, and obviously because I'm involved, I don't want to second guess. I don't want to lay blame. I might do that next week. But a lot of times you find that people in these situations, and high-profile people, make decisions that aren't the best. And I think amongst them, I know that they tried to clean it up in courtroom afterwards. Who knows the real backstory here? All I know is that I think he is earnest, he being Sean, about wanting to better himself. I think the prosecution's kind of gambit, if you will, by asking for 135 months, basically just, between 11 and 12 years.
But Mark Geragos, the man Diddy paid to defend him, is the only one who's really of the opinion that Diddy genuinely wants to better himself. People who have been calling out his alleged crimes for years, such as Jaguar Wright, are still talking about the people he's used and dumped and urging them to come forward. In particular, she has recently brought up the story of a man who got inappropriately treated by Diddy, and she claims she has proof of it.
You see that seal?
Yeah, we see it.
Yeah. Port of Wayne County. Ask me why that means anything.
Please, if you don't mind.
Well, see, it has to do with this case. Back in 1998, it's so funny that you said rappers from back then, back in the late 90s, and they did this and they did that. It's funny. Two different names, same case file. Nobody bothered to pay attention. This was filed on May 2nd, 1998. The defendant's name is Derek Lee Cordello Smith.
Mhm.
Have you ever heard that name before?
No, please.
He's a victim of Sean Combs. This is an exhibit. Commitment of sentence to the Corrections Department for offense of criminal sexual conduct, third degree, as conditioned primary offense. Wayne County Medical Examiner's autopsy report, which would be the autopsy report of Carl Bishop, an actual kit, a grape kit, and the materials containing were of the victim and the defendant. The incident report identifying Sean Combs as the assault suspect. Well, do you understand what that means?
Hey,
Do you understand what that means? What I'm holding right here in my hand in this device that I uploaded for protection of the records. See, while everybody was busy watching that sham of whatever that was supposed to be to make people think that that guy actually was finally handled up on in some way, shape, or form, God was busy making sure that these very real findings came to me. Do you see what I'm telling you?
no, definitely.
There's a great kid. And the diddler is the assailant. His DNA found inside a man.
If this case ever comes out, the diddler may well be finished. But there is a question now on everyone's lips. After Diddy's 50-month sentence came down, is there a chance Diddy will appeal? Here's what his lawyer had to say.
The appeal seems off the. Are they even going to bother appealing this?
Oh, I think it's way too early to make that determination. I mean, you have to let it sit in. I will tell you, and by the way, 50 months, 50, leaves you open to a number of possibilities if you're Sean Combs. And he will be consulting with consultants, he'll be consulting with professionals who will give him the advice on that, who understand exactly the permutations. But for an appeal, I'm going to go back to the point I made and try to make it less esoteric. By giving him 50 months, by the judge sentencing him to 50 months, the appeal, I think, if I'm handicapping it, if somebody comes to me and says, Mark, what do you think about an appeal? It's not Sean Combs, it's somebody else. The judge found sentencing guidelines that were over 70, and the judge went under by 20. And then I'm asked, I went to trial, I lost on a couple of counts, and the judge went under what probation suggested the guidelines are. I would tell you that an appeal is incredibly, it's always a heavy lift. It just becomes a Herculean lift because of the way the judge did it. And by the way, I've said this a couple of times. This is not a judge who this job was a upgrade. He took a massive pay cut. He was an accomplished litigator. He has a pedigree that most law students would envy, and he's a very, very brilliant man. And if you don't think he thought this through and understands, no judge wants to get reversed. And this is about as insulated a sentence as you can get from an appeal. Having said that, on the Mann Act itself, he left some wiggle room open for the constitutionality of the Mann Act as applied. That's a separate grounds for appeal than the sentence itself. As far as the sentence itself, I just think that's a lift. That's a bridge too far.
As for Diddy's next steps, Garagos said the focus now shifts to survival, not courtroom strategy. High-profile inmates usually bring in prison consultants, people who've lived inside the system and know how to keep clients safe. He said he talks to these consultants almost daily, describing them as essentials. They help with everything from understanding inmate hierarchy to influencing where someone ends up being sent. According to Garagos, Diddy's team is already working to secure a safer placement, probably at a low-security camp, the kind of facility where inmates get small freedoms but face instant transfer if they step out of line. These are far from luxury resorts, but compared to federal prisons, they're a safer bet.
It's a very hard discussion that criminal defense lawyers have to have weekly, if not more often.
So you talk to these prison consultants all the time. What would they say to a high-profile person like this about avoiding other violent assaults?
There's all kinds of things that, the first and foremost is, where do you get designated? That I can't emphasize enough, that before you do anything in terms of preparing yourself, you have got to take your best shot as designation. Now, you have some control over that. And when I say you, I'm talking about kind of the royal we, meaning the court. Your lawyers can inform, can bring stuff to the attention of those who make the designation. You can send them material. You can try to point out things. But ultimately, at the end of the day, that's a decision that is made internally. They have their own protocol. They've got their own checklist, so to speak, and they're going to designate you at a spot. Now, you do have remedies if you get designated to some place you don't necessarily think you belong. I've had clients who have challenged that successfully, where they've been designated. They think it was because of a misnomer or a misclassification, and they've successfully done it. But sometimes be careful what you wish for. You get a little kind of what I call in LA parlance freeway therapy, where, okay, you want to go someplace that's not as onerous. We're going to send you someplace where you've got no relative anywhere near you because you challenged us. I don't want to say it's punitive, but it's punitive. And so that is the next kind of effort that's going to be made, is to determine and to handle where the designation is. And I'll bet you TMZ breaks that news as to where the designation is, probably within minutes of when they make the designation.
So let's say he is sent to a minimum security prison. Is he out of the woods when it comes to that kind of a...
If you're going, you and I talked about Ghislaine Maxwell, who went from the one place in Florida, which was a higher level, not a camp. And she was transferred after she did the interview with the couple-day interview. She was transferred to what they call a camp in Texas, which I'm familiar with. I've had other clients in. So a camp is generally one of the better places to be. And the reason for that is because a camp is basically, you get certain privileges, and if you step off of the line, so to speak, if you violate, if you do anything that is not according to Hoyle, they will immediately send you someplace a lot more onerous. So that's why I say, in the long-winded answer to your question, yes, you've got to get designated somebody. I know he wants to be New York adjacent. If I'm Sean right now, I'm going to be angling for someplace like Lompoc, satellite camp or something along those lines.
Former Real Housewives of New Jersey star Joe Giudice, who spent 3 years at Fort Dix for fraud and conspiracy, says the reality isn't all that peaceful.
And what he did was, and the argument was that it's what's called acquitted conduct, meaning there was conduct that he was acquitted of. And the judge said he wasn't going to basically go into that kind of whole line of cases, but he was going to consider it as a factor. And he did consider it, obviously, as a factor. And he said he was going to send a message, basically deterrence effect. I always think of my father whenever a judge says, I want to send a message. My father used to say, shows you how old I am, you want to send a message, use Western Union.
Still, Giudice's attorney James J. Leonard Jr. defended the facility, saying it's considered one of the better federal prisons to serve time in.
He's going to have a really rough time following the straight and narrow while he's in prison.
Well, I've seen it personally. I think he has changed dramatically while in the jail, which is not a prison. I'll make that distinction. Pre-conviction, post-conviction. Pre-conviction jail, post-conviction prison. So he has changed dramatically. However, there's always that tendency. It's in the personality. I mean, you're 55 years old like Sean, you're 60 some odd like me, 70 some odd like you. It's very hard to change old habits. And the judge kind of said that in as much today in a different context, but it holds true everywhere. You're going to have to fight against that urge. You're going to have to fight against them. Sean said something that I thought in his statement was that it was humbling, and clearly it is humbling. And I will tell you, Harvey, and you've seen it with a lot of the people that you've followed over the years, there's various avenues that you can take. There's various decisions you make when you're in custody. And I always tout the Menendez brothers as making good decisions. There are others that I've had who've made incredibly bad decisions. I'm always hopeful that somebody makes the good ones.
Yeah.
That's likely why Diddy was so keen on Fort Dix. It could mean less time behind bars if he qualifies for RDAP, but Judge Aaron Subramanian, the same judge who sentenced Diddy, denied his request to be sent specifically to Fort Dix. The judge said he'd only recommend a prison in the geographic location of the defense's choosing, not a particular facility. Still, he did agree to recommend keeping Diddy as close as possible to the New York metropolitan area. So for now, Diddy's dream of Fort Dix is up in the air. The final call lies with the Bureau of Prisons, not the judge. If approved, Diddy could end up in a relatively calm environment with family access and time off opportunities. But if denied, he might face a much tougher environment, one with fewer perks, more isolation, and no shot at early release. Even after Diddy finishes his prison sentence, life won't exactly return to normal. According to court documents, once he's released, he'll be under supervised release for 5 years, meaning every move he makes will be watched closely. During that time, Diddy will have to check in regularly with a probation officer, take drug tests within 15 days of getting out, and continue to be tested occasionally afterward. The court also ordered him to attend a full lineup of programs: outpatient treatment, mental health counseling, and even domestic violence classes, all mandatory. His probation officer will also have the right to show up unannounced, whether at Diddy's home or wherever he's staying. And it doesn't stop there. Diddy must live at a location approved by the probation department, and if there's reasonable suspicion he's breaking any rules, officials can search his house, car, phone, or computer on the spot. This is likely because he not only has a history of intimidating and burying people who witnessed his crimes, but he was also found to be doing that very thing in this trial.
Disgraced music mogul Sean Diddy Combs is facing more scrutiny. Federal prosecutors have accused Combs of witness tampering from behind bars. He's in jail. The prosecution filed another motion on Friday urging the judge to not grant bail to the hip-hop star. They say he deployed a, quote, relentless effort to contact potential witnesses, including victims of his abuse, who could provide powerful testimony against him. He's doing that, again, from behind bars. Now, for context, Combs was arrested, charged in September with trafficking, racketeering, and transportation to engage in prostitution.
and trying to get away with robbing him. You know, when Derek made his investment into Bad Boy, it wasn't just him. There were 9 other gentlemen that invested $150,000 each, by the way. Young black men saved up their money, stacked up their cash to invest into this animals company. And it's been appreciating all this time. Ask me how many of those investors, other than Derek, are still alive.
Geez, how many? Sheesh.
Kind of like Uptown Records. Only one left. Derek.
Wow. And for him to apologize for it would mean that he would have to admit that it happened. And then that means there may be other Dereks out there. And I'm not saying at the level of that, but
Yeah. Yeah. Like, say you're sorry.
it doesn't bode well.
Say you're sorry to somebody who's without a doubt your victim.
The restrictions go even further. The founder of Bad Boy Records, once known for luxury jets, private islands, and all-night parties, will no longer be allowed anywhere near guns, ammunition, or any kind of weapon. He also has to work at least 30 hours a week, though it's unclear what kind of work he'll be doing once he's out. And perhaps the most isolating rule of all is that Diddy is forbidden from contacting anyone involved in criminal activity. That includes people who might have once been part of his inner circle. So even if he gets the lighter environment of Fort Dix and earns an early release, his freedom will come with strings attached, constant supervision, random searches, therapy sessions, and a completely different lifestyle from the one he's known for decades. For someone who built an empire on control, power, and image, Diddy's next few years will be defined by the one thing he's never had to live with before: strict control over him. Do you think he can survive this? Let us know in the comments.